What's going on? Welcome into the Bills Chat halftime show. The Bills and Dolphins are tied at 14 here on Thursday Night Football. And I imagine there's a lot of you out there that are probably pretty unhappy with that score. And I totally understand where you're coming from. It's one of those weird games where watching it, if for whatever reason you weren't aware of the score, you'd be stunned to find out the Bills were losing. It's kind of like the playoff game that the Bills lost. The Bills played close against Skylar Thompson and the Dolphins, where it's like the only thing to not like about the game so far is the score. Unfortunately, that's really all that matters at the end of the day, as the Bills are really outgaining the Dolphins. They have a yards per play advantage on them. They have 7 yards per play versus 4 yards per play, and that does include the kneel down. Um, they're doing better on penalties, but this game really comes down to a couple of things. One, it all started to me a couple of plays before the missed field goal by Matt Prater. Jason Marshall, the Dolphins defensive back, nickelback, goes down with an injury. The Dolphins are already as thin as thin can be at cornerback. And then the next play, Jack Jones goes down. On second down, the Bills come out staying in 3 tight end and run the ball up the middle with James Cook. Now, look, James Cook is averaging about 10 yards per carry in this game, but in that situation, they are down to the water boy at cornerback. Why would you not bring out 3 or 4 wide receivers, spread them out, and throw the ball? And I thought that was curious. The Dolphins did make a good play in the run game there, set up a third down, ultimately sacked Josh Allen, and it led to a missed field goal by Matt Prater. So the Bills have a chance there to go 21-7. It still good, 17-7. Miss the field goal, very wide left. And then to the McChronicles point, on that last drive, you're just waiting for the Bills to get the ball back, whether it's with 2 minutes left, a minute and a half left, a minute left. It's like, all right, whatever, Dolphins, get your little cute field goal here. The Bills are going to go down and score, and we'll be just fine. And the Dolphins, to their credit, kept converting on third downs. There was a really nice Tua scramble. There was an off-schedule Tua throw to Tyreek Hill. There was another throw to Tyreek Hill, or that may have been Washington at the end of the half, where he breaks the tackle and gets a first down, ultimately ending with a Jalen Waddle touchdown. And now we're sitting here at halftime, and it's 14-14. Nothing I said previously about this matchup with the Dolphins, essentially fielding half of a roster, I feel is inaccurate. This game is a game that the Bills are in control of. Unfortunately, when you make mistakes like the Bills have made, you can keep a team around. So it's 14-14. The good news is the Bills get the ball coming out of the second half. The other good news is the only thing that has stopped the Bills offensively in this game from scoring on every possession is just a mind-bogglingly bad field goal attempt by Matt Prater. So Roy Collins is here. He says, I told people this game would be closer than people think. I get it. I also just think that this is kind of one of those NFL gonna NFL games where I still believe that 2 hours from now, we're going to be talking about a comfortable Bills victory. But the problem is now half of this game is gone. So we may only have 4, maybe 5 more Bills possessions left in this game. So now you've condensed it down when you have 2 teams that one is much better than the other, and now you've added in more variance, because the less drives you have, the less opportunity you have to display how much better that one team is. And so with five possessions left each, let's just call it that, now you're at risk of, oh boy, a sack fumble return for a touchdown, or a broken play on defense that leads, or broken coverage that leads to a touchdown. Now you almost have to play perfect. And the other part of this is a psychological from Miami, as we're going to see what Jack Destroyer of Gruck says. A team like Miami coming in, the way their season had started, the way that game started to look like it was unfolding, where the Bills were going to go up 21-7, maybe 17-7. I'm not saying they were ready to quit, but I think had the Bills gotten it to a 2-possession lead at halftime coming out in the third quarter, you could see scenarios where the Bills were going to force Miami into submission. Well, now you have a Dolphins team that goes into halftime feeling all kinds of life. So the Bills are in a fight. It certainly was an outcome that was possible. It's not one that I predicted, but I still do think they're going to win this game comfortably. Jack Destroyer of Grok says, "What is McDermott's problem with challenging plays? He's like under 30% in his career in challenging plays, and he missed the obvious challenge. And someone needs to explain why he's so bad." Um, I know the play you're talking about. That is on the first drive. Who the Bills hired a former referee, what's his name? Last year, John Perry, to go up in their booth to really help McDermott navigate these challenges. And it was considered like an innovative move by the Bills, and they thought it was something that other teams would copy. And he's supposed to be the one in charge of the challenges. And it was that third down Tyreek Hill, I believe, catch on the first down. I think it was Hill, where the third or fourth replay you hear Kirk Herbstreit go, "Ugh," because Tyreek Hill bobbles the ball. And we're just watching the feet on the first two replays, like, oh, he got him in, whatever, first down. But then on the third one, you kind of see him bobble the ball. Now you need to go back and say, well, wait, when did that first foot leave the ground? Herbstreit saw something. McDermott clearly didn't get signal down. The problem with challenges is McDermott can only do so much. Okay. There's not a scenario where sirens are going off outside my house. I'm fine, just so you all know. There's not a scenario where they're telling him, "Hey, McDermott, it's an incomplete pass." And he's like, "You know what? We're going to just give it to him." He's on the sideline. He has a worse vantage point than we do watching at home on television. So the communication aspect from the booth did not get down to him in time to challenge that play. Otherwise, he probably would have. Now, look, are there strategical reasons not to challenge a play in the first quarter? Sure. Like, you don't want to risk losing one of your two challenges that early in the game. You don't worry too much about losing a first half timeout because those are not so consequential as, say, like a second half timeout where you're trying to preserve clock or extend the game. But I get what you're saying. That was definitely a head scratcher, and ultimately extended the drive that the Dolphins went on to start the game, where we're all like, "Oh, Miami's here to fight." All right. Let's talk about what's actually gone on in this game. Josh Allen has been on fire. He is, let's find these stats for you. He's 11 for 13 with 97 yards, 2 touchdown passes. He only has 1 carry for 0 yards. That would be the kneel down, I assume. And speaking of carries, James Cook 8 for 73 for a 9 yards per carry, and then Elijah Moore 1 for 11 with obviously 11 yards per carry. Dalton Kincaid 3 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. Quite honestly, really could have been 2 touchdowns, but it was a very, very good play by the Dolphins defensive back, and his name is escaping me at this point in time. Ashton Davis, the safety. At first, it looked like Kincaid just dropped the pass, right? But when you look back on the replay, it was just a perfectly timed breakup by Ashton Davis, and stopped the bleeding for momentarily until ultimately the Bills do cap it off with that Jackson Hawes touchdown where Josh Allen just flipped in the ball. My guy Costa in here, I'm late. Why are we not blitzing more? Tua isn't handling it properly tonight. It's a good point. Generally speaking, what the Bills like to do to the Dolphins is they like to try to win with their 4-man pressure and really drop 7 into coverage. Their goal is to take Tua off of his first read. The advanced metrics show that when Tua gets off of his first read, he's a significantly worse quarterback. And that's the game plan the Bills generally go with. And we've seen tonight times where Tua extends the play and actually converts a third down. So I do think you may see more blitzing as this game goes on. Keep in mind, one thing the Dolphins have on offense is a lot of speed, and the Bills don't necessarily have a lot of foot speed in the secondary, either at safety or cornerback. They are starting 30-year-old Tre'Davious White out there. I don't think he's quite 30, but you get the idea. And it's weird, me, a 42-year-old man, calling somebody who's 30 old. I get the irony there, but the Bills aren't asking me to play cornerback for them, folks. The other thing is, without Matt Milano, you just have a little bit of probably a confidence issue with your linebackers knowing where they're supposed to be. Plus, Matt Milano is one of their best, if not their best, blitzer. Satvik says, put in Landon Jackson. Well, Satvik, that is not possible tonight because Landon Jackson is a healthy scratch for the 3rd game in a row. Before people start freaking out about Landon Jackson, a 3rd-round draft pick, being a healthy scratch, this was something that Luca and I said after the draft, that the Bills are very deep at defensive end, and it's only going to get worse, really, after Michael Hoyt's 6-game suspension. Easy for me to say. because you have Joey Bosa, you have Gregory Rousseau, and you have AJ Epinesa, who are automatically going to get jerseys on game day, right? And then your fourth edge is either going to be Javon Solomon or Landon Jackson. Well, Javon Solomon's a four-phase special teamer. Landon Jackson, for all his upside, for all of his intriguing skills that you'd like to see the Bills be able to mold, he doesn't have a special teams presence. And when these teams have to only dress 48 players on game day, those backups have to have a special teams presence. And that is why a player like Javon Solomon is going to get the nod over Landon Jackson. So for him to get on the field for the Bills this year, it's either going to take an injury to Bosa, Rousseau, or Epinesa, um, beating out one of those three guys, which you can go ahead and cross Bosa and Rousseau off that list, but maybe Epinesa, but then Hoyt comes back, or somehow, some way, giving the Bills confidence that he can develop that special teams presence. But outside of the, I mean, okay, outside of outside of the long kickoff return to start the game and the missed field goal, the Bills special team has been really good this year, but so far not so much this game. All right. When you see Ollie Gordon in the backfield, you should at least send 5. He might be the worst pass blocking running back in the league. That's a really good point. They not only have Tua blindside protected by a right tackle that has no business really being on an NFL field, nonetheless starting, but they have a day 3 rookie in Ollie Gordon out there as the primary backup to Devon Achane, and he's not a good pass blocker. So you're already dealing with potential communication issues on the offensive line. You have a rookie running back whose pass blocking is not his calling card in the backfield. And to Costa's point, there was a third down stop early in this game where the Bills showed blitz prior to the snap, and then they kind of showed that little mug blitz up the middle, and both linebackers backed out the snap. But it got Tua thinking to the point where he was watching the linebackers, not the ball, and dropped the shotgun snap. So I do agree that there is a point to be made that the Bills should blitz more on defense. But ultimately, where I land on, Bills get the ball coming out of the second half. They need to make this drive count, go down there, get the lead back, and then get on defense and remind the Dolphins who the better team is. My guy, Eric Stevens, is in chat tonight. If you watched the live show last night, he is my Dolphins fan friend that I was referencing several times. Tua looked terrified. You know, we can feel where Dolphins fans are coming from, right? Like, we had the 17-year drought. We know what it's like to cycle through bad ideas at head coaches and bad ideas at general managers. So it's difficult for them right now. I think there's an argument to be made that the best thing for Dolphins fans would be if their team just got their doors blown off tonight and they just decide to blow the whole thing up. Right now it's 14-14. That doesn't seem very imminent, but we are going to let Jack Destroyer of Grok get the final word in at halftime because we're about to go start the second half. These weak teams are trying to shorten the game. Weren't we running hurry up against bad teams to get more offensive possessions and make them keep up with us? Because that's not really what the Bills do well, right? They are averaging 9 yards per carry with James Cook. What you don't want to do is start playing left-handed just to get more possessions. Now, I understand Josh Allen's your quarterback and they have bad defensive backs, and you could run hurry up against these Dolphins if you wanted to. It's not a bad thought, Jay, but ultimately speaking, what the Bills want to do is they want to run the ball effectively. They want to set up play action by running the ball. They've done a lot of more under center play action tonight. They want to run their offense. They should be good enough to beat this team. I predict they will beat this team probably comfortably, but at least through the first 30 minutes, it's a little bit uncomfortable. So I'll be back next week for Bills Saints, another doozy on the schedule. And Luke and I'll be back on Sunday to break down everything Bills Dolphins. God, Bills, hopefully this is a win as I'm now watching the second half kickoff. Maybe Codrington can break one here and give us all something a little bit to be happy about. He got to the 40-yard line. Good for him. And be back on Monday morning for Bills Chat podcast. And that will be breaking down this game, obviously, but also just going over the weekend of NFL football. A lot of good games out. Chiefs, Giants, Ravens, Lions on Monday night. So a lot to get into there. And then we'll be back for Bills Chat live on Wednesday as we start to look ahead to that Saints game on Sunday. So I will talk to you all next week. Do I think Coleman turns up in the second half? Yes, I do. The Bills are actually coming out in 3 tight end to start the game or start the half, and James Cook gets a 1-yard run. The secondary is not great by the Dolphins, Bills. I would not be afraid to spread them out. I do think Keon Coleman has a chance to get loose in the second half. I'm not sure they have a defensive back capable of covering him as Jackson Hawes just got leveled to the ground there. I'm about to do just live commentary on this game. I don't know if anybody really wants that. Um, but well, shoot, let's just go ahead and watch one more play. If it doesn't work out, I'll hang up on you all. Bills are spreading them out now on 2nd and 9. A little bit of confusion here. The Bills are struggling to get the snap off. Allen underneath to Coleman, and it's decent yardage there. It's third and going to be about 3 yards. And I would expect that if the Bills have an incomplete pass, they will go for it here. I think they understand the moment here. They don't want to keep the Dolphins in this longer than they should. And so it's third and about 3. We'll stick around, just see what happens on this drive, and then I'll get out of here. I don't mind doing live commentary. As Kenneth Grant is on the field for the Dolphins. He was their first round pick. A lot of people thought they should have taken Will Johnson, or maybe even Max Harrison. 3rd and 1 here. So not even, it looks like a long one. The Bills are in the shotgun though, and they're throwing. They're definitely in 4-down territory if they're throwing out of the shotgun. Not going to matter though. Josh Allen finds Ty Johnson coming across the field, and there is a flag. Didn't see where it came from. Hopefully it's not against the Bills. We shall see. Illegal hands to the face on defense. Bills are going to decline that. Yeah, I don't know why they ain't attacking the secondary, because the Dolphins are bad. They're hurt. That's the thing. They lost their best defensive back, Kader Kohu. I guess you could say maybe it's Minka Fitzpatrick. They lost Holland in the offseason, didn't want to pay him the big bucks. They traded away Jalen Ramsey. They had seen enough of Jordan Poyer, who, as much as we love him as Bills fans, he gave them nothing last year. Let's just be honest about it. So 1st and 10, Bills at the Dolphins' 45-yard line. Bills are spreading them out in shotgun. Josh Allen, quick pass over the middle to Shakir, who's just a thing of beauty to watch with the ball in his hands, gets down to the 28-yard line. The Bills continue to move and groove on this Dolphins defense. Very little resistance. And what's strange about this Dolphins defense is the strength of the defense is their edge rushers, and you really have not seen it outside of the one Bradley Chubb sack tonight. They could get they are going to get Deion Dawkins for holding. I think looked like he held him here. Yeah, you saw the referee throw the flag. So this is going to back the Bills up, set up a 1st and 20. What you're doing a watch along like when I spoiled for you last time? No spoilers, people. I'm probably behind. I'm definitely behind if you're watching in Buffalo, because I'm in St. Louis. I'm on Amazon Prime, and you guys are on regular TV. Yep, Deion Dawkins definitely held there. You can see it live. Bradley Chubb's having a good game. So now it's 1st and 20, and we'll see what happens here as the Bills get marched back. No matter what, though, we're going to cut this watch along out after this Bills drive ends. Big penalty there as the Bills were marching. And we will see what happens here on 1st and 20. You don't hate 1st and 20 when you're the Bills, because you have Josh Allen, you have an explosive offense. You'd like to see them get about 10 back here. The Bills are staying 3 wide with Kincaid to the boundary. So that's a formation that's tough for defenses to match up with. Josh Allen could run here. He is going to run here. He's gonna get the whole thing by himself. And Josh Allen slides down about okay. I'm not Santa Claus. Josh Allen slides down about 2 yards before the 1st down marker. It looked like a Dolphin came in late and landed on him, and Dalton Kincaid took exception to it and got into a shoving match. Now, what I will say is the NFL has made it very challenging for these defensive players with these quarterbacks, and Josh Allen has been guilty of it in the past, where he did the little dead leg like he was going to slide down. I don't know what defensive players are supposed to do at this point in time with quarterbacks. If you breathe on them late, he was going down there. Was that Dodson? And yeah, Kincaid didn't like that very much. Got into a shoving match. No harm, no foul. But these defensive backs are really hung out to dry with these quarterbacks that run. So now 2nd and 1, the Bills got almost all of it back. They're in great shape now. They're going to throw it out to Kincaid, who might actually take it all the way to the end zone. Oh, he's down to the 1-yard line, and I think we're going to see a little Josh Allen quarterback sneak action here. So again, hot knife through butter on this defense. The Bills are doing whatever they want to on offense, as long as they just don't continue to make mistakes. I do think they will prove to be the better team in this matchup. This defense is just very undermanned. Like we talked about on the preview show last night, There's a saying that it's not always X's and O's, it's Jimmys and Joes. I don't always buy into that because at the NFL level, everybody's talented. But in the case of this Miami Dolphins team, they do lack the Jimmys and Joes in a big way. It's been unfortunate roster building strategy on Chris Greer's part. They are 5 wide shotgun, folks, on 1st and goal at the 1. What are we doing? And it looks Josh Allen took a 3-yard sack. It looks like Spencer Brown potentially took a penalty. And now the Bills go, assuming this penalty, I don't have the volume up, assuming the penalty's on Spencer Brown. Let's get that for sure here. Personal foul. Oh, it's on Miami. Okay, good. All right, so you guys are watching. You don't need me to tell you what happened, but it looked like a really dumb penalty by Spencer Brown. The Bills are bailed out here. Run the ball into the end zone, please. I get you want to. This is a defense you can attack. This is the defense you could maybe have 5 Josh Allen touchdowns on, but you haven't earned that right to this point. It's 14-14 in the 3rd quarter. You have to get points here. You have to get 7 points here. Okay, I saw it late. It looked like Okay, now they're in more of a heavy personnel, and it looks like they're going to go with James Cook, Reggie Gilliam in motion. James Cook up the middle. Touchdown, Bills. Bills are going to take a 20-14 lead, extra point pending. As soon as the extra point goes, I'm going to go. And I appreciate all of you watching. The Bills, again, doing whatever they want to on offense. Just play smart on defense. And they should be fine. This is a mismatch, player for player wise. But you gave Miami hope, and they still have hope. They're only down by 1 score. But James Cook caps off that drive with a touchdown. Matt Prater's last kick went very far left. So kickers are like closers in baseball. I've said that a million times. That you love them until they let you down, then you never forgive them. And his kick looked like it was going to go left again, but it's right down the middle. Bills are up 21 to okay. Amazon gave the extra point to Miami accidentally. Bills are up 21-14. And with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Enjoy the rest of the game, folks, and I will talk to you next week for Bills and Saints.